Delhi is easing restrictions from today after a stringent 2-month lockdown due to the second COVID wave. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal announced the easing of curbs in a phased manner. And according to these new guidelines, markets and malls are reopening as per the odd and even system from 10 a.m. From right now, will be open till 8 p.m. Standalone shops will be open every single day. There's no odd even system for them. Delhi's Lifeline Metro is also resuming its services with a seating capacity of 50% to ensure social distancing. Grade A public sector employees will be allowed to attend offices. What about private offices? Well, they'll be able to function with 50% manpower. Last week, the government allowed factories to reopen and construction activities to resume following a dip in cases and also a dip in the positivity rate in the capital. So the next phase of unlock begins in the national capital. What opens up, what remains closed? Let's break that down for you. First of all, standalone shops will be allowed to open every day. These are your regular neighborhood shops. The timing for them is 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Markets, malls, shopping complexes also being allowed to open in this phase. Certain conditions, however, it will be open on an odd even basis. So in a mall, not all shops will be allowed to open on the same day. Liquor stores again allowed to function, but on an odd even basis and at certain times alone. Now, similarly, also you've got private offices being allowed to open. It will have only 50% capacity, which means that 50% of the staff will be allowed to work. The timing given by the government is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then you have the Delhi metro services. They will now be functional. All trains will be functioning, but 50% capacity only to ensure that there is adequate social distancing. What remains closed? Cinemas, movie theatres, theatre halls, all of that remains closed. They will not be opening up in this phase. Restaurants and bars, at this point, you cannot go in and dine at any of these restaurants. Takeaway, however, is allowed. Home delivery is also allowed. So they will be open. Gyms, bars, salons, beauty parlors, they will remain closed in this current phase. They're not going to be allowed to open. Similarly, swimming pools and public parks are also closed at this point. They're not being opened up by the government right now. Could be in the next phase. Educational and coaching institutions also are closed. So online classes will continue. We're expecting that in the coming weeks, they too could perhaps open up. And here's a report that was filed by Kumar Kunal in the national capital, breaking down what exactly Delhi will look like from now.
Resumed after almost 1.5 month break due to the lockdown and the COVID second wave. But now, as the services is resuming, I can show you the pictures from Rajiv Chowk metro station that how hundreds of people are waiting for their turn to board the Delhi metro. Metro is also coming on the track, and hence life is also back on the track with the metro. There are various people are waiting for the metro to arrive. ऑफिस है वहाँ पर, तो ये एक अच्छा लग रहा होगा जितने दिनों के बाद मेट्रो भी चल रही है, ऑफिस भी चल रहा है. People are from different zones of life. इसलिए आप यहाँ से निकले, मेट्रो का सफर जो इसका उद्देश्य क्या है, ऑफिस के लिए करें. तो इतने दिनों के बाद लॉकडाउन खत्म हुआ है, ऑफिस भी खुला है, मेट्रो भी चल रही है, तो एक रिलीफ कम से कम काफ़ी रिलीफ. क्या कुछ मुश्किलों का सामना करना पड़ा इनको? So now people are more relaxed. They are going to their offices and even the work will resume from today. Hence, when the service of metro is also resuming, it is a double benefit for these commuters. I will also take you inside the metro train, how the safety precautions are being taken there. So we will resume the journey with all these co-passengers and will show you that how metro is actually taking care of the safety protocols inside the metro train. And with camera person Pradeep Gupta, it's Kumar Kunal for India Today from Rajiv Chowk Metro Station, Delhi.
Apologies for that poor audio, but Kumar Kunal getting us that live report from inside the very, very busy Rajiv Chowk metro station, where you see already commuters gathering to use the metro rail services as it opens today. What about neighbouring Noida? Well, as per the new guidelines, all shops and markets outside of containment zones are now allowed to open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on weekdays. Street hawkers and vendors can open their shops, but of course they have to follow appropriate COVID behavior. Only home deliveries are allowed at this point from restaurants. You cannot dine in. No more than 5 people will be allowed to gather at a religious place. Up to 25 people are allowed to gather for marriages, a maximum of 20 people for a funeral procession under the new guidelines. Schools, colleges, educational institutions remain closed right now. Cinema halls, swimming pools, clubs, shopping malls will not be operational either. Private office employees have been advised to work from home. The district, however, will remain under complete curfew on weekends after 7 p.m. on Friday right up to 7 a.m. Monday.
Not just the national capital, but entire NCR have been weeks-long lockdown due to surge in the COVID cases. And as now there's a decline trend of the surge, clearly it is time to unlock. Not just the capital, but it is the Noida Authority, Ghaziabad Authority, and entire NCR is now under the unlock. And as unlock has been announced, several activities will be permitted. As far as shops are concerned, in open markets, that will be under the supervision of the district authorities. As livelihood is important, this is also to ensure, and what is really must, to prevent any further outbreak of COVID. And as these mall shops could be threat further to trigger, safety protocols have been ordered to be adhered strictly by the district authorities. And now the stores are opening up. Clearly you can see the increasing footfall in Noida. So all the activities so have been permitted, and gradually as the case is easing down further declining trend, more and more opening will be allowed in the next phases of unlock. But for now in Noida with Sanjay Ashutosh Mishra, for India Today.
The state of Maharashtra is also easing curbs from today under a plan that is a 5-level unlock plan. Now, as per the BMC's new guidelines for Mumbai, shops selling essential services are allowed to open, and they'll be open till 4 p.m. on all days, whether it's a weekday or a weekend. Non-essential services shops can open only on weekdays. Salons, spas, wellness centers, they're reopening now, but with 50% of working capacity. Dining services in restaurants are functional till 4 p.m. on weekdays. Only takeaways will be allowed during the weekend. Medical and essential services will be allowed to use the Mumbai's local trains. Buses are allowed to run right now at full capacity. Social distancing norms, however, have been put in place for public transport. Section 144 is still in place across the city, which means not more than 5 people can gather in public places. Private offices will operate till 4 p.m. with 50% capacity, with 50% staff. Malls and theatres at this point remain shut. Similar guidelines have been issued in other districts of Maharashtra where the caseload has come down. Divyesh Singh is joining us with more details on this. Divyesh, several steps that are being taken to ease the restrictions. It's of course a 5-level unlock plan that's in place. Some of the decisions taken, for example, that buses will operate in full capacity, will lead to questions about whether it's possible really to ensure all norms are followed in such a plan.
Yeah, Akshita, the 5-level plan that has been brought in place by the Maharashtra state government is as per the positivity rate. The positivity rate is wherever it is above 5%, it has been put into different levels, while Mumbai remains under level 1 unlocking guidelines. Also, it has been considered the oxygen bed occupancy rate is being considered like it is up to 25% in Mumbai. That is why it has been put under level 1. But in Thane and other places, few other cities, it is between 25 and 40%. That is why it has been put under level 2. You can see over here shops like jewelry shops, bag shops, and other accessories like mobile accessory shops have just opened up. In Thane city. You can see over here, we are present in Thane city right now. Clothing, footwear and other shops have also opened today. They are being allowed to function till 4 p.m. As you mentioned earlier, on weekends these shops will not be allowed to function, but for weekdays they are allowed to function till 4 p.m. Restaurants are allowed to function till 4 p.m. Rest of the time they are allowed to give away takeaways, and on weekends as well they are allowed to give takeaways. Other than that, malls and theaters have been allowed as per the guidelines in level 2 and level 3 areas, but that depends on the local municipal corporation and local collectorate whether to allow malls and theaters to function or not. Uddhav Thackeray, who is the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, has clearly stated that if overcrowding is found, if norms are flouted,
Right.
police has to take strict action in those areas. Section 144 remains in place.
Okay.
More than 5 people cannot gather at one particular location.
All right, Divyesh, thank you for those details. The Maharashtra government has devised a 5-level unlock plan, and in level 1, here's what opens up. Essential shops are allowed now to be open. They will be open all day till 4 p.m. What about non-essential shops, those which are not selling groceries? They'll be open only on weekdays. On weekends, they will remain shut. Gyms are also opening up, but only for a limited time till 4 p.m. every day. Salons are allowed to open till 4 p.m., but the staff capacity is at 50%. Restaurants also are open, so you will be able to dine in at these restaurants, but it will be again till 4 in the evening. Public gatherings are not allowed at this point. Only 5 people can gather, and that's because Section 144 is in place in Mumbai. Public transport, buses are now functional. Full seating capacity is allowed, but there will be strict monitoring to ensure that social distancing is maintained. Local trains are partially moving in the sense that essential services can go ahead and use the local train services, not anyone else. So those are a fact, the relaxations that have been put in place by the government under this unlock plan. It's a 5-level one, so the weeks to come, there will be more relaxations that are put in place. Let's focus on the vaccination drive. A question that's been asked time and again is about vaccinating children in the country, and there is some progress on that because the screening of children for the second phase of clinical trials of Bharat Biotech's Covaxin will be starting at AIIMS Delhi today. The clinical trials will be conducted to see if the vaccine is safe and effective for children between 2 to 18 years of age. The clinical trials hold immense significance as many are worried about the possible impact of the likely third wave on children. Currently, India has no vaccine which has been approved for those below 18 years of age. A total of 525 children will be included in the trials, which will be divided into 3 groups. Group 1 will have children in the 12 to 18 age bracket. Group 2 is children between 6 to 12 years of age, and Group 3 will have kids in the 2 to 6 years age bracket. Now, the volunteers will receive 2 doses of Covaxin in an interval of 28 days. This comes after AIIMS Patna has started the trials recently on children aged between 12 and 18 years. Milind Sharma is joining us live from Delhi with more details on this. Milind, good morning. So at this point, AIIMS Delhi also formally kicking off the process for trials of the vaccine on children. Just explain to us what's the process, and I'm sure this gives a lot of hope to parents and to children, but the reality is this could take a couple of months at least.
Yes, certainly, because the process was already started in AIIMS Patna, and now AIIMS Delhi, one of the premier institutions in the country, is also enrolling children between several ages from about 2 to 18 for the vaccine trial. Now, it's very important that we understand that these are going to be children who are going to be participating in the trial. So there's going to be a fair bit of scrutiny that's going to take place, more than what was initially done because the participants were adults. And certainly this is going to pave the way for a vaccination for children. We know that the government is very keenly looking at these candidates of Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. There's a nasal vaccine as well, and there's Zydus Cadila vaccine as well that's being tried on children. But obviously, there'll be several processes that will be looked at. First of all, the children will be given 1 shot of Covaxin, and after 28 days, there'll be a second shot. They'll be constantly monitored for any sort of adverse events following immunization. And that is the process that will be followed, because these are the trials. Phase 1 and 2 have already happened. The third phase is currently ongoing, and which is why enrollment is happening in various institutions. And investigators are looking at the ability of the vaccine to save children from the third wave.
All right, Milind, thank you for getting us all those details. So the process is underway. AIIMS Patna, already the first dose has been administered. AIIMS Delhi, the process to identify candidates has kicked off. Let me now break down for you what the status currently is for a COVID vaccine for children. Remember that Covaxin has been given the nod for trials. So as far as the age group of 2 to 18 is concerned, Bharat Biotech, which is of course manufacturing Covaxin, they've been given the nod for this, and screening is on for the clinical trials of children. This is between the age of 2 to 18. However, as far as teenagers are concerned, for children between 12 to 18 years, clinical trials are already underway. Several centers across the country, these trials are being conducted on candidates who've been identified as fit for the trials. There are other candidates also who are in this. You've got Zydus Cadila also, again for a vaccine for teenagers aged between 12 to 18. Testing is underway, and they may go ahead and seek a license in a matter of 2 weeks from the authorities, from the government. Then you have Pfizer. This is a vaccine that's been approved in several countries. This is again for teenagers, for 12 plus age group. It's been approved in the West. United States has already vaccinated its teenagers using the Pfizer vaccine. Another vaccine is CoronaVac. This is a Chinese vaccine which has been approved for all children aged above the age of 3. This is something, of course, that a lot of questions will be asked about the data and what kind of trials have been conducted. We don't have that data right now because this is a Chinese vaccine. Now, another question that keeps coming up is which vaccine to put, Covaxin or Covishield. That's the question on everyone's mind, planning to go ahead and get vaccinated against COVID-19. The government has said that both offer protection against the virus. But the first Indian study among doctors and nurses say that those who are getting Covishield generate a higher proportion of antibodies. Sneha Mordani explains.
A preprint of the first Indian study among doctors and nurses who received both shots showed that a higher proportion of those inoculated with Covishield produced antibodies compared to those who received Covaxin, even though both shots elicited a good immune response. Among 515 healthcare workers, of which 305 were male and 210 were female, 95% showed seropositivity or higher antibodies after 2 doses of both vaccines. Of the 425 Covishield and 90 Covaxin recipients, 98.1% and 80% respectively showed seropositivity. However, both seropositivity rate and average rise in anti-spike antibody was significantly higher in Covishield versus Covaxin recipients, the study says.
We interestingly note in this study that even a single dose of each vaccine were responsible for boosting immune response in people who had past history of COVID-19. This suggests that both vaccine works very good in Indian people, and one should go for vaccination as early as possible.
While no difference was observed in relation to gender, body mass index, blood group and any comorbidities, people aged 60 years and above or those with type 2 diabetes had a significantly lower seropositivity rate, indicating a comparatively lower antibody response. The study also shows a good safety profile for both vaccines.
Measuring antibodies after vaccination is not a reliable measure of the immunity against the virus. That's because immunity is multi-pronged, almost like the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. And by measuring the lab antibody level, we are only measuring a fragment of our immune response. Overall, the fact that very few people develop breakthrough infections is a good indicator of how well our vaccines are doing.
The study, which was done at the peak of the second wave of the pandemic, shows that the vaccines, both of them, are working. This just shows that it's time now for us to speed up vaccinations in a big way as we brace for the third wave of the pandemic. The study says even one dose of the vaccine is offering some amount of protection. Right now in the country, just about 4% of the population have got both doses of the vaccine. Less than 15% of the population have got one dose of the vaccine. In New Delhi, Sneha Mordani for India Today.
Now, the last 2 years has dealt a body blow to so many people and their livelihoods. So many people have lost their jobs, they've lost their homes, had their salaries cut and trudged home emptying their savings. Second wave of pandemic has hit the working class also very, very hard. But as economies open up with an ease of restrictions, the working class is now pinning hopes on the situation getting better.
After living for 6 years in North America, Manikandan from Vellore had huge dreams. He wanted to buy a house and settle in Canada with his family. But all his dreams and desires were shattered in early Jan 2020. He flew down to India to take care of his father, who was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. It was supposed to be a short trip of 4 to 5 months, but unfortunately, things went downhill as the pandemic and his father's treatment both became a matter of huge concern.
By next year, if things are okay, everybody got vaccinated and we go back to abroad to start my career, I have to build up from scratch.
Okay, I'm sending you a script.
Manikandan, who is still trying to return abroad and is currently working as a voiceover artist, is not the only one staring at tough times. 33-year-old Venkatesh, a government-recognized tourist guide who works mostly with Germans and Europeans, has been without a source of revenue ever since the lockdown started in Chennai.
Only when 80 to 90% of Indian population get vaccinated, tourism will come back again to India. Until then, we are all jobless.
There are thousands like Manikand and Venkatesh in the country who have lost their livelihood due to COVID-induced lockdown. But now with restrictions being gradually lifted, they are hoping for better times soon.
The COVID-19 pandemic has completely shattered the lives of people like Venkatesh who have lost their livelihood. No jobs, fear of the pandemic and an uncertain future is what these people are staring at now. With camera person Daniel from Chennai, this is Akshay Nath for India Today.
After Assam, there's been another unfortunate incident of healthcare workers being attacked, this time in Manipur. This incident has been reported from Imphaal's Jawaharlal Nehru Institute of Medical Sciences, where relatives of a 33-year-old patient who died due to COVID vandalized the ICU ward and also damaged oxygen concentrators. You can see how they're damaging the equipment in the ICU, also allegedly assaulted healthcare workers. Now, according to reports, this patient was admitted to the hospital with severe COVID-19 complications, was advised ICU admission, but the relatives of the patient refused to admit the patient in ICU. 2 people have been detained in connection with this attack after hospital authorities and doctors lodged a complaint. This incident in Manipur comes days after a shocker from Assam in which a junior doctor at a COVID care center was assaulted following the death of a COVID patient. 2 others, including a woman, were also injured in that attack. With that update, I'm slipping into a short break here on India Today. Coming up on the other side, all the details you need to know on Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's announcement of their baby girl being born. They've also announced the name of the baby as Lilibet Diana.
For the latest news and updates, keep watching India Today. And remember to mask on before you move on. Don't forget.
We know that getting a COVID-19 vaccination shot in such bleak times can be a matter of joy, literally. But sharing your COVID-19 vaccination certificate on social media is simply not cool, and we'll tell you why in this video. After getting the jab, people have been taking to social media to post their vaccination certificates, but they fail to realize that the certificate carries some very crucial data that should not be put out by any means in public. The MHA has posted an advisory through the handle CyberDost. Now, this post warns users against posting their certificates online. The tweet says, beware of sharing vaccination certificate on social media because the vaccine certificate contains your name and other personal details. The shared vaccination certificate can be misused by cyber fraudsters to defraud you. The moment you get your first dose of COVID-19 vaccination, you will receive the certificate. That certificate mentions the name of the vaccine you've received along with the time and date of receiving the dose. It also mentions the date of your second dose. Now, the certificate also carries the name of the vaccination center, the last 4 digits, importantly, of your Aadhaar card. However, the certificate that you receive after your first dose is only a provisional one. You will receive the final certificate once you get fully vaccinated, once you get both the doses. Now, a vaccination certificate will become as important as your Aadhaar card in the near future. Whenever you want to travel to other countries or cities, you will require this document. You'll get a link to download your certificate as an SMS on your registered mobile number as soon as you take your first dose. You can also sign in to the CoWIN portal to download your certificate. You can also get it from the Arogya Setu app using your beneficiary ID. So those are the details you need to know about the vaccination certificate. Perfectly okay to post a selfie. Don't post the certificate online.
Medical drugs, oxygen cylinders, ambulances. India Today's special investigation team unearths pandemic profiteers as the second wave peaked. We helped save lives with our boots on the ground. The gold standard of journalism. As always, this is India Today.
Remember, do mask on before you move on. Don't forget. For more news and updates.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have announced the birth of their second child. They've been blessed with a baby girl and have named her Lilibet Lily Diana Mountbatten Windsor. She was born on 4th June. As per the statement released by the couple, Lily is named after her great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, and late Princess Diana. In a press statement, the couple, Harry and Meghan, said, and I quote here, "On June 4th, we were blessed with the arrival of our daughter Lily. She's more than we could have ever imagined, and we remain grateful for the love and prayers we felt from across the globe." The couple also have a 2-year-old son, Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor, born in 2019. Lilibet will be 8th in line to the British throne. The couple's decision to name their daughter after the 95-year-old monarch came less than 2 months after the death of her husband, Prince Philippe, the royal family's patriarchal figure. Slipping into a short break here on India's agenda, I'm leaving you with a video of the Indian Coast Guard successfully conducting a swift sea-air coordinated medical evacuation, saving the life of a captain of a merchant vessel.